Here are 3 levels of political discussion. Did you know that most people don't actually disagree about too many political issues? Quite often, people engaged in political disagreements are simply not communicating at the same level. We can generally think of 3 distinct levels of political discourse. There's the ground level, the sky level, and outer space. Let me explain. The ground level is where we have the world of objective, verifiable facts. These are things that can be measured, quantified, and observed. This is the level where we make assertions based on real-world events and hard data. For example, we could look at the measurable increase in the cost of housing and see that this increase started around the year 2002. We could also see that when the government passed a law in 2022 prohibiting foreign investment in Canadian real estate, that rapid increase that we had seen in the cost of Canadian housing that had been occurring for 2 decades suddenly stopped. Now, the sky level is where we make assertions that consist of judgment and opinion, and often make use of grand, sweeping allegations. These allegations might refer to real-world events, but those references usually consist of very loose correlations between one aspect of reality and some other aspect of reality. For example, we might say that the cost of housing is outrageously high in Canada, which is true. And we might also say that the Liberal government has been in power for almost 10 years, which is also true. So we might conclude that the housing crisis must be the fault of the Liberals. Now, that conclusion would lack a causal connection based on real-world events and hard data. Now, the level of outer space has become increasingly popular in recent years. This is the level of conspiracy theory. At this level, people will out and out bend the truth. They will lie, they will deceive, they'll just make up wild allegations that have absolutely no grounding in reality. This is the level where we hear all about the radical left-wing lunatics and their depraved plans to brainwash children into switching genders or to establish a world government, to pursue some nebulous globalist agenda, or to convince everyone that global warming is a big hoax and it's perpetrated by the deep state so that governments can raise taxes. Why not just skip the whole international hoax part and just raise taxes? Now, whether we like it or not, you and I and everyone else lives our actual lives at the ground level. So that's really where we should spend our time when engaging in political discussions. Now, how can you know if you and the person you are speaking with are both speaking at the same level? After all, we don't want everybody running around going, hey, I'm at the ground level, you're in outer space. So, figuring out where we're at is actually easier than you might think. But to do that, we first need to familiarize ourselves with 2 kinds of statements. There are positive statements and there are normative statements. Now, positive statements refer to some objective, measurable aspect of reality, such as, the teacher gave the class 20 minutes to write the quiz. That would be a positive statement because it refers to something that is measurable, the 20 minutes. Now, normative statements refer to some sort of judgment or opinion about reality, such as, the teacher gave the class plenty of time to write the quiz. Do you see the difference? One statement presents something that is measurable, devoid of judgment, and the other statement presents an opinion devoid of any measurable aspect of reality. Now, this all might get a little confusing when I also point out that we are not simply talking about true or false. The assertion that the teacher gave the class 20 minutes to write the quiz might be false. Maybe the teacher only gave the class 10 minutes to write the quiz. And the assertion that the teacher gave the class plenty of time to write the quiz, well, that might be true. Maybe everybody in the class finished their quiz within the time that was given. No, we're not talking about true or false. What we're talking about here is the best way to arrive at the truth. And we can only do that if we all stick to the ground level and discuss political issues using positive statements while keeping normative statements to an absolute minimum. And if we do that, we're more likely to arrive at a mutual understanding of the reality that we share. We're more likely to gain empathy with the people that we are speaking with. And we're more likely to come to realize that we all share a lot more in common with each other than we don't. Thanks for listening.